everybody, and welcome back to the Triple Double Podcast. It is currently Sunday, November 17th, 2019, and we're back again. I'm your host, Eddie Fitzgerald, joined alongside me, as always, Cam McKee.
Hey, how's it going?
And Hunter Nisley.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back for another episode.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot to talk about. I think what we're going to start to do now is we're going to start to do bi-weekly uploads. You know, we're all college students. We're all trying to make it work, and doing a weekly podcast can be a lot sometimes, and we want to make sure that everybody's, getting their work done, but also doing what we love to do, which is talking hoops. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about the Celtics, David Fizdale on the hot seat, possible trade rumors, and then at the end of the episode, we're going to go through all 30 NBA teams, how their season started, what they need to improve on, or just basically our hot takes for each and every NBA team. So be sure to stick around. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Spotify. Share it around. Give us 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts because we want to be the best triple-double podcast that we can possibly be. With that being said, let's get started. Cam, I don't think anybody in their right mind would have picked the Celtics to be a one-loss team at this point in the season. They've been hot. Tell me why.
Yeah, I certainly didn't expect this either. It's been pleasant to see. A lot of people are putting this on Kyrie Irving leaving, and I think that's totally unfair to all these guys. Every single player on the Celtics has been taking a step forward. Kemba, the new addition, has been great in the fourth quarter. He's been shaky at the beginning of games, but he's there when it's needed. Jaylen Brown has been out of his mind this season. He's shooting 52%. Gordon Hayward, he got hurt. He got that hand fracture, which was brutal because he was killing it. He was shooting 55% before he went out. Jason Tatum's defense has massively improved. His shot-taking selection has massively improved. He's getting to the line more. It's all-around teams. The Daniel Tice, Robert Williams, these big guys are stepping up, even though they're still the weak part of the team. They're doing their jobs and they're getting us wins. But yeah, it's just a massive improvement from every single player is really the reason why we've gotten off to such a hot start.
No, definitely. Hunter, I want to touch on, this team is not necessarily the deepest at big man, but yet they've been getting it done. What can we say? Enes Kanter was out for a majority of those games. He was very, but now he's back and he's sort of in the lineup. He's been shaky. What can we sort of expect to see for this Celtics team, in the rebounding, defense, rim protection department since they lost Al Horford this season?
It'll probably be a little difficult because Al Horford is one of the best in the game right now when it comes to just defense in general. He's the Joel Embiid guy, that he shuts down Joel Embiid to, the best of his abilities. He was that guy for them. And now, Enes Kanter is, he's a guy, he's a rebounder. Robert Williams has stepped up a little bit too. He's that very good, just athletic run and jump center that a lot of teams like in today's NBA. I don't know how that's gonna be whenever they, come down the stretch, playoff time, going against a team like Philly that's really big, really long. We might start to see some struggles there. But for the regular season, I expect Boston to right now probably snatch that 1 seed. I think a big thing too is, I know Cam said that it wasn't a big deal, but I think Kyrie leaving is a big thing. He's a ball stopper.
Oh, definitely.
I don't think he's a leader.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Cam.
No, I completely agree with you. I just don't like that storyline because it's taking away from what these guys are doing.
I got you.
It makes it look like, I think it's a lot more of it's Kemba's leadership and letting these guys be able to improve, where last year was Kyrie had to have the ball at all times. He wasn't letting these guys get their reps in. I think that's a big difference.
And speaking of a guy who's improved so much this season, Marcus Smart. Smart has been very good.
He's a three-point shooter now.
He's a three-point shooter now.
39% from three this year. It's incredible.
Which is absolutely amazing. When you compare that to his defensive ability, now you have a very viable playoff 3-and-D player who's going to get into those passing lanes, make the steals, and then be able to hit a jump shot right in your face. And that was something we haven't been able to see from Marcus Smart. And I think that really attests to what Cam was saying earlier about Kemba being able to get the best out of these guys, where Kyrie Irving was trying to get his. Kemba has now sort of stepped into that role of being the leader, being the guy who you go to in the fourth quarter, but not making it the Kemba Walker show like he did in Charlotte. And I think that's been nice, where we see him still being at that level, but also taking a step back from being that guy. And now I sort of want to shift over to guys who have been good in almost all four quarters of basketball games this season. This is some hot hands recently. Hunter, I'm going to go to you. Charlotte's Devontae Graham. He has been amazing, scoring 18 points a game off the bench, I might add. And he's also second in the NBA, only behind one person whose name happens to be James Harden, in three-pointers made this season. Who is this Devontae Graham guy, and why should I care about him?
I'm gonna give you some bad news about Mr. Devontae Graham. I know the Hornets have been playing above expectations beginning of the season. They're going to come back down to earth. Devontae Graham is a good stats, bad team guy. He's the Michael Carter Williams when he was on Philadelphia, where rookie of the year, he looked awesome. And then, once Philly starts getting a little bit better, MCW started to, go down a couple notches, and now he's a below average backup point guard. Devontae Graham is on the same path as Michael Carter Williams right now. He's getting some buckets. His potential to be a six-man type of guy in the future, but he's not. He's just off to a good start right now. I expect him to still play fairly well because the Hornets are going to be bad, but I don't expect much from Devontae Graham in the future. He's a good stats, bad team person.
I personally like Devontae Graham. I think that he's got, he's still a young guy. Like, he can really develop and sort of come into that six-man role a little bit, but just being able to have that consistent three-point shot in today's NBA makes you absolutely valuable. And I don't think that, and yes, you're right, that it's good stats on a bad team, but it's not necessarily good stats, bad player, bad team. You know what I mean? Like, he's still a viable option, and I think that as Charlotte continues their rebuild, I don't think we'll see Devontae Graham maybe within the next two seasons on the Hornets anymore. I think teams are going to look to trade for him, get him as their backup point guard, like you were saying, but much more in the sense of like a Patty Mills, somebody who's very consistent, a solid shooter, can really just come in and make stuff happen for you and just lead that second unit a little bit. Cam, I want to touch to you on somebody who Hunter and I have both publicly shamed, and his name is Andrew Wiggins. He's currently 10th in the NBA in points per game, averaging close to 25, 26. There's certain, is this like Wiggins' final coming out party, or is this just, I don't know, let me just score the basketball because that's what I've been able to do for the past couple years, just do it better now?
Yeah, I think another great Kansas guy. I guess Kansas has been killing it so far this season. But yeah, I think this all comes down to shot selection. He's taking much better shots this season. He's always been great from corner three, but he's taking more of those. He's backing off the mid-range shots, which, as we all know, is the worst shot in the NBA. It's been I don't think anyone expected this from him. I think he's been thrown away. He's a big bust, former number one overall pick. He'll never be what everyone thought he was. But so far this season, he has been just a great player. I think he's finally reaching some of the expectations that people had for him. And I think he could. I think absolutely he could keep this up. I think if he just keeps taking good shots, keeps making the right decisions, I think this could be a regular thing for him.
The issue that I definitely have with Wiggins, and a lot of the Timberwolves actually, aside from former Sixer Robert Covington, is defense. Defense has always been the downfall of this Minnesota team. And whenever I saw that they were interested in signing D'Angelo Russell in free agency, I was like, you're really going to add a worse defender at the perimeter compared to somebody like a Jeff Teague. And now you have a point guard of D'Angelo Russell, a shooting guard in Andrew Wiggins, and that defensive backcourt, especially in the West, where you have so many, high volume scorers, Damian Lillard, James Harden, is just it doesn't make sense. And I think that Wiggins, we knew he could score, and he's always been around that 20-point mark. But he's sort of, the Wiggins lovers and the truthers out there are really just, they're seeing what he has been just in a higher volume setting. Like he's gotten more adjusted. He's no longer really a young guy anymore. He's reaching that 27. He's in his prime as of right now. And when you're in that prime and you're still only a one-way player as a number 1 overall pick, I think that really affects you. And
every time I see the Timberwolves, it looks like I think they give up 120 points a game. Like, I swear, every time I see them on TV, they've already given up 120 by like halfway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I just don't know how you fix that team when you have 2 stars.
I mean, Ryan Saunders is doing a great job with what he's got.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree, and I think that making that trade and getting Jimmy Butler out of there and what they got was pretty solid, but there's still another piece away and another anchor defensively, somebody who they can really rely on to go and shut people down, aside from Robert Covington, from really making some noise. With that being said, guys, instead of players who have had the hot hand recently, we're going to go for players who've had the hot hand for a couple of years now. James Harden, almost 40 points a game. Hunter, tell me, is this Harden? Like, he's gotten better with Russell Westbrook in terms of scoring the ball. You thought that, there was only one ball to go around, and not a lot of people thought that Harden would be able to keep up his scoring efforts. What's going on in Houston right now?
I think James Harden is really solidifying that he is arguably the best scorer of all time. I mean, he hasn't been the most efficient this season, but he's still, the fact he's putting up almost 40 points a game, and I believe the Rockets are 3rd in the West at the moment. I mean, that's unbelievable. He's putting up stats that we haven't seen in a long, long time. And he's unstoppable. You can't guard this man, at least in the regular season. He draws so many fouls. He gets to the line constantly, and he's such a good free throw shooter. There's not much that you can do. You just, you would rather him make shots than foul him at this point, because that seems like the best option.
Yeah.
I don't know. Russ has been out a little bit recently. When he comes back, that scoring might go down a little bit, because I know Eric Gordon's been hurt as well. But the fact that he's putting up these numbers is crazy, and if he can sustain it somehow, it would be crazy if he doesn't win MVP if he's averaging 37, 38 points a game. But there's guys like Giannis and Luka Doncic that are right there with them, not scoring wise, but they're still having incredible seasons.
Another eye roll from Cam, as we mentioned. He's
a dirty player.
He's a dirty player.
He took out 3 of our Celtics in one game. He's a dirty player.
Too many ankle breakers, baby.
Yeah.
No, it's not what he He's literally punching him in the face.
As we shift over to sort of the NBA news, Carmelo Anthony is back. And that's a player that NBA statisticians love to hate. A lot of analytics guys love to hate. He's in Portland now. Dame did say that, Carmelo Anthony would never have a chance getting with this team, and now they're teammates. What can we sort of expect to see from, Portland Melo now?
Yeah, it's awesome to see him back in the league. That's my main point. I'm great that he's getting a chance. But, of course, he's not going to do much, but he's a guy that's needed in Portland because there's Zach Collins out now. They need a bigger guy. I think Melo has to accept his role, accept he's not who he used to be. But I think this could definitely be a great relationship for the Blazers and Melo both. I think he'll get some minutes. I think he'll be a productive member of the team if he does it right. I like the signing, and I'm glad that Melo's back in the league.
Hunter?
I agree with Cam. I've been known to say the last couple of years that Carmelo was the worst basketball player in the league at the moment. But I actually like the signing. They've been playing Mario Hezonja as their main forward starting this season. And, I think they're really, thinking of losing guys like Al-Farouq Aminu, you don't think like that's a big loss, but it's been evident for them this year that they just don't have, that defense or that size. Not that Carmelo's a good defender, but he's better than Mario Hezonja, and he can put the ball in the bucket when he needs to. And he's still a big guy. He's going to be good down in the post a little bit for them. I like the signing. I didn't think I would ever say this, but I actually like this for Portland.
I I'm sort of on the fence about this signing. I've never seen much that has excited me about Melo. I am personally like Zach Collins went down, and he's a great defender, solid rebounder, somebody who you can get, you know, a solid nights outing consistently. But then to replace that with Melo, where you're not really sure what you're gonna get a lot of mid range shots, and somebody who's coming off the bench for them right now is just that's not what you need from this team. I think somebody like a Kenneth Faried, who is currently a free agent, would have been a much better signing. I think that's a bigger body is what they need, because right now they have Hassan Whiteside. Nurkic is still hurt. Their big men depth is not there, and you can't rely to play Whiteside 35 minutes a game if you're looking to trade him, because he will just show how terrible of a player he actually is. And I think that they needed somebody bigger. And Melo's a big dude, but he's not that 4 or 5 rotational guy. He's more that 3 or 4 rotational guy. And to have him on the team, yeah, it's cool. And there's the novelty, and I'm sure a lot of Trailblazers fans are going to get excited to purchase Melo jerseys. But I don't think it was the right fit in Portland for them. And as we sort of shift over now, the Knicks have been god-awful. Unless they're playing the Dallas Mavericks, they have been god-awful. They only want to destroy Kristaps and win games that way. If they could play the Mavericks 82 games a year, they would be undefeated. However, that has put head coach David Fizdale on the hot seat, where a lot of Knicks fans are calling for his head. They want him out. They don't like the way that he's been coaching. We really didn't like the firing whenever he was in Memphis. Hunter, is this a smart move to fire Fizdale at this point in the season?
This situation has really got me fired up. I think if they fire David Fizdale for this, I'm gonna be so upset, because I think they just need to gut the entire front office. They have themselves believing that they had a playoff caliber team this season, and Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis, and Elfrid Payton is not a playoff team. Nobody thought they were going to be in the playoffs. Not a single person except for Steve Mills. Steve Mills had to convince himself and James Dolan that this was a playoff caliber team, and they're just going to use David Fizdale as a scapegoat, and the Knicks are just going to be bad for another 20 years probably. They need to completely gut this front office and just start over, hire a new GM, hire a new CFO, everybody. They just need to start over.
They need a new owner.
They need to sell the team. It's infuriating. Like, what is David Fizdale supposed to do when his best player is Julius Randle? Like, you can't expect Taj Gibson to be your one of your main guys, especially when they had the chance.
You signed 3 power forwards in one offseason.
The goal was to get Kevin Durant. The goal was to get Kyrie Irving and Kemba Walker, and they ended up with Julius Randle. You cannot put the blame on David Fizdale for this. It just blows my mind that the Knicks are this incompetent still after so long.
I totally agree. It starts at the top and then trickles down to the bottom. If the team is good and they're not performing well, then the coach is most likely the problem, or a player is most likely the problem. If the team is bad and the team is not playing well, then it's almost 100% of the time the management problem. It's a front office issue. We saw this with the Kings so many years. Every time Vlade Divac and Vivek Ranadive would make moves, they would select Georgios Papagiannis, Papa John's, 10th overall. Willie Cauley-Stein, 6th overall. They're only really their greatest assets that they've received through the draft has been De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley, but those are far and few between, where it doesn't make sense for the Kings to be, that great. Cam, I want to shift over to you now to some trade rumors that we've been seeing, spiral throughout the league. Apparently the Brooklyn Nets have been interested in trading for Aaron Gordon. They lost Karis LeVert, and they're looking for some scoring. They're struggling very hard right now. And a lot of that blame is going on Kyrie Irving and Kenny Atkinson and the fact that they don't have Kevin Durant this year. Is a move for Aaron Gordon the right decision? Should they look to make trades, or should they stay the course and be like, yes, guys, we might not be this great this year, but we'll have KD next year?
Yeah, I think the latter for me personally. I think KD makes a huge difference on that team. But honestly, these Kyrie problems seem serious. Again, it seems like everywhere he's going now, usually it takes a season or two for this to flare up. But it's already happening in the seasons. We're not even a quarter of the way through the season. I don't know how much Aaron Gordon's – obviously, Aaron Gordon's a great player, don't get me wrong. I think he can make an impact, but I don't know if that's the way to go. I think their expectations were a bit too high this season. You got to remember you have the best I don't know how it will be after the injury, but before the injury, best player in the league. So I wouldn't worry about it this season. I don't know if you want to give up some of your assets for Aaron Gordon, but I can understand if that's a move they want to make, though.
I think that an Aaron Gordon move would just flat out be silly. I think that it's cashing in too early. You don't know what you have. You don't know the type of player that KD will be after this injury. By forfeiting your assets now, you don't have the opportunity to assess where the team next year will be at. Who knows? Maybe Aaron Gordon after this season isn't the best power forward to put alongside Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And then that stunts his value where you're selling for pennies on the dollar whenever you sold dollars for that penny. And I think that Aaron Gordon is a great player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's been really nice, a solid playmaker, really nice offensive unit. But he's not the person who I would want if I'm the Brooklyn Nets. If I am Sean Marks, I'm not making that phone call right now. And that brings us to our next trade rumor. Hunter, DeMar DeRozan has been talked about recently, getting shopped around. The rise of Lonnie Walker, Derek White, DeJounte Murray leaves a lot to be desired in San Antonio for a guy like DeMar DeRozan. He's come out and said that if he was to be traded, he would rather be traded to the Eastern Conference. Hunter, do you think that DeMar DeRozan will get traded by the trade deadline? And if so, possibly where in the Eastern Conference does he fit?
That's tough. Because I don't know how many teams actually want DeMar DeRozan anymore. He's still showing that he's obviously a capable NBA player. He's probably the best mid-range guard in the league, or one of the best mid-range guards in the league. But the mid-range game is not what he used to be. And maybe he gets shipped back to Toronto. Maybe that's a fun little reunion up there. But if I had to guess, I'd say he's probably going to stay put in San Antonio. And I just don't think, at least most of the teams in the East, I don't think are going to see the value of trading for him. It just doesn't make sense for most teams. And this might be the first time where we kind of see the Spurs are starting to not be the Spurs of the past, where they've been a little down the last couple of years, but they've still been playoff bound. And this might be, we might see a Spurs lottery pick this year, which will be interesting.
Yeah, well, I would hate to be anybody around them in the lottery because they draft so well.
And the last time they're in the lottery, they got that random guy, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, it's scary once the Spurs are in the lottery. They do a very good job. I think DeMar DeRozan to the East makes a lot of sense. He wants to be a part of a team that could potentially, continue to contend. Whenever I saw that report, as a lot of fans do when they see that players are looking for trade options and whatnot, my mind went a little bit to the Sixers, and I saw a potential Tobias Harris for DeMar DeRozan. And that makes us a little bit worse defensively, but offensively we get a Jimmy Butler style player where he's not as good defensively but can create his own shot. And that's something that the Sixers really don't have offensively, and that they need to sort of strive for. But, enough on the Sixers. I want to sort of shift topics over back to Cam's Celtics, actually. The Celtics, while they are the top team in the East right now, are not really slated to win the East right now by a lot of NBA analysts. Cam, are the Celtics one piece away from making, winning the East and going back to the finals, or are they good enough right now to make it out of the East and beat Philly, beat Milwaukee?
I think a move definitely has to happen. I think one move could do it, definitely, but you have to make some sort of move, and it's got to be a big guy. And there's three guys right now that I've kind of gotten on my radar that a lot of Celtics fans have their own radar. We're looking at, you think Miles Turner, you think Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond, he's a young player and he just rebounds the ball. That's what he does. He gets those boards, and that's what the Celtics need. The Celtics are really bad on the boards. And I'm thinking maybe then there's a whole plethora of other people that could maybe fit in. You think Steven Adams, you think Tristan Thompson.
That's who I was going to say.
Yeah, players like that. But you need a big man. Daniel Tice as your starting center is just not going to beat the Philadelphia 76ers. They're not going to beat the Bucks. You need a bigger guy. We're a great team in itself, but we have our strengths are not what is going to beat these other top contenders in the East. And that's why you need to get a big guy. But what's going to hurt the most is what you're going to have to give up for these big guys. You got to think the Memphis pick that we've had for a few years, I think that's got to be gone. And then you're looking at a key player being gone, either Gordon Hayward or Marcus Smart. And both of those would kill me. Gordon Hayward's been great this season. It's been a tough road for him, but if someone's willing to take that contract, I think you gotta give him up. But I don't think you can give up Marcus Smart. He's the heartbeat of this team. He's the glue guy of this team. I don't think any trade offer is worth it to give him up.
Hunter, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Cam. I think they don't necessarily need to make the biggest move in the world, but a guy like, if they could get a Tristan Thompson, if they somehow can get Andre Drummond, I think that would be really, really good for Boston. I do think they have a chance, even if they don't make a move. I still could see them coming out of the East. I just think they're that good. And especially if Philly doesn't fully figure it out this year, we saw last year the Bucks come playoff time, they were really hot, and then they got really cold once they kind of just suppressed Giannis a little bit. It was a different team, and they don't have Brogdon anymore. So it's really just Giannis and some role players. So I still, even without a move, could see Boston making their way to the finals. Don't think they would beat either of the LA teams, or maybe not. Maybe Houston, maybe not Houston. But they're in a really good position. This is the position you want your team to be in, to be that just one piece away, and they have the pieces to go get a guy like Andre Drummond at any time.
My biggest thought process going through and seeing what the Celtics need, and Cam is exactly right. They need a big man. They need somebody who's on a selling team, not necessarily somebody who's still trying to contend and make the playoffs and maybe make that next move like Andre Drummond. I think that Drummond is definitely staying pat in Detroit. I don't think that this team and the Van Gundys are ready to blow up just yet and say, all right, this Blake Griffin Drummond experiment, Reggie Jackson experience is a wash. I think that Steven Adams would be my high-profile target guy. What did we see in the Toronto-Milwaukee series? We saw them suppress Giannis, protect the rim. We saw them protecting the rim, and right now they don't have that. Enes Kanter is not that guy. I think Steven Adams as a rim protector and a rebounder, where you ship Gordon Hayward and a pick to this team for, in terms of salary matching, maybe grab a young guy as well. But I think, obviously Oklahoma City is rebuilding, and they want to collect picks. They want to get rid of those Steven Adams contracts, and absorbing that Gordon Hayward contract would just, make a lot of sense. I think a Steven Adams to Boston scenario is the best option, Cam.
Yeah, I appreciate Enes Kanter. I'm glad he signed with us. He seems like a great guy, but he's just not what we need. He's an offensive big man, and we need a defensive big man. He's just a super liability on defense. That's what he's known. He's known. People have known that for his career. He's a good offensive rebounder. He's not bad on offense, but he's a very big liability on defense. And what we need right now is a defensive big man who gets rebounds.
All right. Well, that will do it for most of the NBA news, everything going around. Now we're going to get into a little bit of a fun segment. 30 NBA teams, 30 seasons have started. And how have they done? We're going to start in the Eastern Conference. All of us are going to give a look at what we've seen, what we've liked, what we have not liked. And then we're going to go into it. Starting off, it's the team we just mentioned, the Boston Celtics. Cam, what's the story so far for this team?
Hot start. Just got to keep it going. Young guys keep improving every day. Get some more reps in for the young guys. Like I said, big man would help. But looking good, way above expectations so far this season. It's been a pleasure to watch them play.
All right, Hunter, give me your sentence.
On Boston.
Yeah, on Boston.
Boston's they're killing it. They're 10-1, and if I had to say right now, I'd probably pick them to come out of the East for this year. I love just the Brad Stevens dream. The teamwork is incredible there, and I'm excited to see how they do.
Yeah, my first impression is teamwork makes the dream work. This is team basketball at its best, where their best guys can step up, and you don't know who's going to get you every single night. Hunter, the Miami Heat.
Miami Heat, man, they've been playing well. Even some small moves like Myers Leonard has played a really big role for them. Kendrick Nunn, undrafted rookie, has been playing really well. Jimmy Butler's come in. I think he's in the right situation. It's his team, but there's no toxic relationships there like there was in Minnesota. We saw how Jimmy Butler led Philly last year in the playoffs and came very, very close to getting past Toronto. And I think Miami's not on the level of Boston and Milwaukee just yet, but they're definitely on the rise.
Oh, Cam, give me your take on the Heat.
Kendrick Nunn, man, great pickup, man. What a baller. Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler is enjoying it down there. Let's hope the team. It's always the honeymoon phase with Jimmy Butler at the beginning. So let's see how it keeps going. But I think the Heat are doing a great job so far this season, way above what I expected them to do.
Yeah, definitely. The Heat, the young guns have been the story. Jimmy Butler, he was out for a little bit. And this team, their young guys, Adebayo, Tyler Herro, and Kendrick Nunn have been absolutely fantastic. And it's that trio that makes me excited to watch some Miami Heat basketball again. Cam, we're going back to you. The Milwaukee Bucks, 9-3.
I mean, is anyone surprised? It's the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Brook Lopez has been a bit disappointing for them, but other than that, I think they should have signed Brogdon instead of Bledsoe. But they got Giannis, man. If you got Giannis Antetokounmpo on your team, anything is possible.
It's true. I'm getting from this Bucks team, I'm feeling a little bit of 2008 Cleveland Cavaliers. They've got arguably the best player in the NBA, but they don't have the pieces around him to really win a championship. So they're good, but they need another guy. Chris Middleton isn't going to be the guy. Brook Lopez is not getting it done right now. They lost Brogdon, so it's going to be interesting to see what moves they make in the next couple of years.
Yep, Milwaukee right now for me is keep Giannis at all costs. You can't afford to lose him. If you start to fall behind this season and next season and you don't build the pieces around him, you're seeing exactly what we saw in the 2008-2009 Cavaliers before LeBron made the choice to go down to South Beach. And I think that they have to do whatever it takes. They have to make him involved in every managerial decision. They have to make him involved in every personnel decision, because he has got to be the face of this Milwaukee franchise. Hunter,
I think I'm hearing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I think I've been hearing Giannis maybe to Toronto. That could be interesting. I think that's what Masai Ujiri is waiting for.
Oh, man.
I think he stays in Toronto, and if they sign Giannis, he's there. But if they don't get him, I think then he leaves for a bigger job.
Ooh. Speaking of the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, speaking of Toronto, and they have their mini version of Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have Pascal Siakam, who might win Most Improved Player again. I don't know if that's possible for him.
Yeah, right.
He took another huge jump for them. They're playing well. Lowry's been pretty good. They showed last year when Kawhi didn't play. They're still a competent team. They're showing that again this year. I'm excited to see what Toronto can do down the stretch.
Cam.
Yeah, agree. Siakam is something else. Fred VanVleet is great. Obviously, they've taken a step back. That's what happens when you lose the best player in the world in Kawhi Leonard. But I think they're still a competing team. I think they're still absolutely a playoff team, no question. But I think they're playing Toronto Raptors basketball. I think they're just doing their thing right now.
Spicy P, FVV, and the real OG. My men in Toronto right now, making the Six look absolutely fantastic. You know, they're it's not even a championship hangover at this point, because they've looked like they haven't skipped a beat, and even though they've lost their best player, which is mind-boggling to me, because we saw that happen when LeBron left the Miami Heat. We saw that when Kawhi left the Spurs. It's remarkable that this team has been so good to start the season. Speaking of teams who have been good but not great to start the season, definitely below expectations are my Philadelphia 76ers. My Philadelphia 76ers are in a bit of a rock and a hard place. That's my general take right now. They offensively have struggled a lot. They have been injured. They've been getting into fights. And the one thing that everybody said about this team is how good this team can be defensively. But you know what their rating is? 10th in the league in the defense of categories. It's remarkable that their defense isn't even top tier right now. This team should be a top 3 defense, no questions asked, and make the offense work. And I think that's why they started out 5-0 and have now drifted down to 7-5, because their offense is sort of catching up and their defense is falling behind. Cam, what's your thoughts on Philly?
They better not lose today, or they'll be the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh.
Oh man,
that's my take.
Yeah,
no, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not too worried yet. Obviously, disappointing starts. They need some shooting. Their offense has been a little stagnant. Looks like Joel Embiid has maybe come in a little, not in as good of shape as we were hoping. There's still just a little bit of awkwardness between him and Ben Simmons when they play together. Ben Simmons hasn't taken a shot outside the paint yet this year, or maybe it's been one shot outside the paint. That's concerning. But not worrying too much yet. I think they'll figure it out in the next few weeks.
All right. Hunter, back to you. Indiana, 7-6.
Indiana, surprising for me. Malcolm Brogdon has been playing out of his mind. He's been their go-to guy. And with Oladipo still being hurt, I thought the Pacers were going to just fall off until he got back. I was kind of expecting them to be a lottery team this year. But with Malcolm Brogdon stepping in, he's showing maybe he's better than what we originally thought he would be. I like where this Pacers team is heading. Maybe they'll get rid of Miles Turner, send him to Boston sometime soon as well.
Cam.
Yeah, it's the Indiana Pacers, man. They're always around. They're always somewhere. They're always chippy. But yeah, Brogdon's been great. I think that when they get Oladipo back, it's just going to be a huge boost to them. They've got young players. They've got good players. I think the Pacers like where they're at right now.
All right. Cam, back to you. Charlotte Hornets. Oh wait, I never gave my take for the Pacers. I never gave my take for the Pacers. Yes. That's my bad. My take for the Pacers is figure it out. Trade somebody, make it work. Mm-hmm. You got to have that decision as a managerial staff. You cannot stay the course when you are this team, when you were on the cusp of being a top team in a very weak Eastern Conference. Make it work, Indiana. Cam, Charlotte Hornets.
Well, I think they've been doing better than most people expected.
6-7.
About 500, 6-7 on the year. Obviously, Terry Rozier has not been great for them so far. I could have saw that coming. Most Celtics fans would have saw that coming. But they've got, like they said, Devontae Graham has been playing incredible so far. They've got some young players who are really stepping up. And I think, I don't know, I think Hornets are one of those teams that are always just stuck in the middle. And I don't think Michael Jordan's the best owner for them. I think they're just kind of there. It's kind of my take.
I think Charlotte, they're riding this wave of the rise of the baby from Charlotte. The Hornets are balling out like he is as well, but they're gonna fall off soon. They're overachieving right now. I'd be shocked if this team wins 20 games this year.
Yeah, absolutely. My take for Charlotte is slow down. This team is not as good as they think that they are. They need to get a reality check, and the managerial staff needs to realize that a 6-7 start does not equal an almost 500 season. And they need to figure out a way that they can get off that Terry Rozier contract, because he's been not so good. He's not been scary at all. He's been a weak Terry right now. And speaking of weak teams, the Brooklyn Nets. Now the Brooklyn Nets, they're sitting at 5-7, and unlike my Indiana Pacers take, is stay the course. Don't make any moves. Keep this season as a wash. You'll figure it out. You'll be fine. You got Kevin Durant coming back. Cam.
Man, you hate to see it. You hate to see it, man. I agree with you. They need to stay the course, but who knows? That team might explode halfway through this season. You hate to see it, man. Kyrie, man, you hate to see it. He's been balling out, but it doesn't matter how much he balls out. You can't get his teammates involved as well.
Yeah, Cam really hates to see it when he's got that smirk on his face.
Yeah,
it's a shame. It's a shame for Cam. Hunter, Brooklyn, what's going
on? Rest in peace to the Brooklyn Nets. They had a nice young core. Karis LeVert, not the same. Jared Allen was like my favorite player last year, and he's no more Jared Allen. I think Kyrie is just him, and Kevin Durant and DeAndre Jordan just all combined on this team is just gonna ruin them. I think they'll be solid next year when everybody's healthy, but I don't think they're gonna be a championship caliber team anyways.
Don't worry. The Nets are counting on Kevin Durant to cool Kyrie Irving's temper.
Yeah,
so don't worry. It'll be all right.
Kevin Durant has been known for a mellow personality and like always being able to be the bigger person in a situation.
Oh yeah.
Always.
Hunter, flipping it to you, Orlando.
I like Orlando.
5-7.
They're 5-7. I like what they showed last year. They've got some nice young pieces still. Markelle Fultz has actually looked okay this year. Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba's been pretty rough still, but Vucevic has been okay. They're probably gonna hover around this 500 team, but they're just kind of, I don't know. Some people probably find them boring to watch, but I enjoy watching the Orlando Magic play.
Cam, please.
Yeah, I think most people expect them to be like jump into the playoffs there, like 7 or 8 seed, make a little noise. I think they're right. I agree with what Hunter said. I think they're doing what they're doing. Yeah, I think they're right at where they thought people thought they should be. They'll be that playoff team. I think they'll jump in there. They can always give a team a game every night or so. You never know what's going to happen when you play the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, definitely. I'm saying, long boys reign supreme. This team is very long. This team makes plays. Jonathan Isaac is somebody who I have loved to watch. Mo Bamba has been, is Mo Bamba. Vucevic has been phenomenal to start the season. Aaron Gordon's been pretty solid. Markelle Fultz has even looked pretty good in an Orlando Magic jersey. So good for them. Be that 7th and 8th seed. You never know when your opportunity will arise, and you'll be able to, as they say in the movie Coco, seize your moment. Moving over, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now the Cleveland Cavaliers, my one take for them is trades need to happen. Move off Kevin Love. Move off of Chetty Osman. Move off of Tristan Thompson. Blow it all up. Figure out what you need to do with Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, because both of them can't be a point guard at the same time. They both need the ball in their hand, and it doesn't make sense to me why they selected 2 point guards 2 years in a row who are very ball dominant. It's weird to me. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, Cleveland. Hunter?
I've actually really enjoyed watching this Cavaliers team play. They're probably the most fun 4-7 team in the league right now. Sexton's been a lot better. I'm hoping maybe Kevin Love gets shipped out to Portland, possibly.
I love that
that
move.
might be
I would
interesting.
love that move.
Probably going to trade Thompson as well. I really like what John Beilein has been doing with these guys. They're energized. They just look so much different than last year. Probably still going to be a lottery team, but they're fun.
Cam.
Yeah, like you said, you got to get Garland, or you got to pick one. Got to pick between Sexton and Garland. I like Beeline. I think he's a good coach for the future of this team. Yeah, Kevin Love got to go. Hopefully Tristan Thompson might go to the Celtics. Got to go. Yeah, like they said, they're still recovering. LeBron just leaves just an earthquake every time he leaves Cleveland. They just got nowhere to go after he leaves, and yeah, you just got to keep rebuilding. Just keep building.
And I want to move on to the Western Conference before we move out of time, because we got about 15 minutes left in our podcast right now. The Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, Detroit Pistons, Washington Wizards, and the New York Knicks, I think, can all be summed up into one word, not even a sentence, just bad. Just bad. Bad teams, good players, good stats on bad teams. Like, what are they doing?
Hey, watch out for the Wizards.
The
Wizards are a
so
sneaky
weak.
8 seed. Sneaky 8 seed.
Sneaky 8 seed. Yeah, maybe if they get the Polish hammer back. We'll see. All right, moving on to the Western Conference. Hunter, not a sneaky 8 seed, a top tier 1 seed, the Los Angeles Lakers.
I think they are what we should have expected from the Lakers. They have 2 of the top, 5 or 6 players in the league, and they're awesome. They're really good. LeBron looks like, LeBron back when he was in Miami. He's been really good, and I expect them to go all the way.
All right, Cam.
Yeah, they've been great. Anthony Davis, LeBron's on a mission. He's been trying to get him going. He's been hot so far this season. My biggest concern with them is just their depth. I think you can't be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope may be the worst player in the league. You can't be relying on him for minutes. I think the depth is the one thing to worry, but other than that, they've been great.
Yeah, absolutely. For the Lakers, it's championship or bust. I said it in my MVP predictions in last episode, which if you didn't check out that episode, please feel free to take a look at that and see me say LeBron James could very well win the Most Valuable Player award. He's leading the league in assists at 11 per game, which is phenomenal for him, that he's sort of shifting back into that playmaker role that we haven't really seen from him in a bit. And I think that it's championship or bust for the Lakers. We know what they're about. The Houston Rockets, for me, the Houston Rockets are surprising. That's the one word that I had. I really thought they were going to take a step back, but I can't doubt this James Harden double the offense, half the defense style of play, where they are able to put up 150 almost every single night and have a player average 40 points. I don't know how you stop that. Cam, Houston, tell me about him.
Harden's going to score 40 points a game, man. He is just on one this season. I think he wants that MVP back. Westbrook, I'm a big fan of Westbrook. I think people are really underrating how he's averaged a triple-double multiple times. The first guy since Oscar Robertson to do it. I think that's really an underrated stat. I know people say pads, rebounds, that stuff, but you're still getting 10 of those a game, which I think is very impressive for a point guard. You need Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker. I think they've been better than I thought they would be. I definitely agree with you, Eddie. I thought they would have taken a step back. They just get into these scoring affairs with teams, and I think no one can beat them when it comes to a shootout.
Hunter.
Hey, Cam, just to let you know, there's going to be a third player who's going to average a triple-double second player to average triple-double since Oscar Robertson. His name is Luka Doncic, by the way. But
we'll see.
The Rockets are fun. I'm excited to watch them collapse in the playoffs again because that's what's going to happen, but they're fun to watch.
Absolutely. Denver Nuggets. Hunter, tell me about Denver.
Denver, a little disappointing, even though they're 8-3. Jokic is definitely a little more out of shape than what we were expecting. Still better than Embiid, but the Nuggets they're going to be tough to beat in the playoffs, but they're just not as good as a team like the Lakers or the Clippers.
My take on the Denver Nuggets right now is trade for D'Lo. I think I saw a potential deal where they give up Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., Juan Hernan Gomez, and a first-round pick, and that lands them D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
I think that trade works out well for both teams. They get that extra scoring, and now you have a legitimate one-guard, two-guard combination where D'Angelo Russell and Jamal Murray can sort of make both those plays and figure it out. And then you got Jokic in there, who's gonna be super solid for them. Paul Millsap, trade for D'Lo. That's my hot take for them. Cam.
Yeah, it wouldn't be right if Jokic was in shape. He would suck. He would suck if he was in shape. That's just not who he is. Yeah, I think they might need one more piece to get over the top, but they're definitely a contender this year. I definitely think they can make some noise. Mike Malone's a good coach. He'll probably win Coach of the Year, I think. I think they're fine. Maybe add another piece. Yeah, I agree with you.
Cam, Utah.
Well, I just watched them the other night against the Grizzlies. They had a tough loss against the Grizzlies, but yeah, they're the Utah Jazz. They're the same team every year. They're just scrappy. They just got some good playmakers. Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles. You got Mike Conley Jr. now, senior, I think. I don't remember. He might be a senior or a junior, something like that. But yeah, I think they're doing fine right now. I think they just got to keep playing. It's a long season.
Hunter, the Jazz.
Yeah, I agree with Cam. It's your typical Utah Jazz. They're scrappy. They're going to grind through games. Conley's been a little rough to start the season. I think he's going to pick it up. I'm really excited to see how these guys play in the playoffs. Now that all the pressure is not on Mitchell, they have another scorer there. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, my take is surround Mitchell with whatever you can. You have to be able to. He's your guy. Gobert is not your guy offensively. Leave Gobert as that centerpiece down low, but it's got to be, what does Mitchell want? How can Mitchell control the offense? How do you get the most out of him and the most out of everybody else on that team? Hunter, the Phoenix Suns.
God bless Ricky Rubio, baby. They finally have a point guard, and they're finally competent. Devin Booker has taken the next step. Aaron Baines has been awesome for them in the absence of DeAndre Ayton, and they're fun. I think they're going to make the playoffs, which is going to be crazy. First time since Steve Nash has been there, I believe.
Yeah.
So Suns are really cool.
Cam.
Yeah, like I said in the first podcast of the season, Monty Williams should win Coach of the Year, man. Even if they go like 500, definitely. What he's done has been very impressive so far to start the season. Aaron Baines is a maniac, man. He's just everywhere. Devin Booker, Ricky Rubio. They've needed a point guard for years. That's what everyone says about the Suns. If they get a point guard, they'll take another step. And so far this season, they've been great.
My take on the Phoenix Suns: wait for Ayton. Wait for DeAndre to come back off that 25-game suspension. Then I will say that they are for real or not, because realistically, DeAndre Ayton is supposed to be that centerpiece. He had a quietly good rookie season. If he shows and comes in that he didn't take this 25-game suspension lightly and wants to prove to everybody that he is the guy in Phoenix, then you got to wait for Ayton. Cam, the Los Angeles Clippers at 8-5.
I don't think you should be worried. 8-5. They just got Paul George back, and through 2 games, he has 70 points. Yeah. I think these guys are going to win it all. I really do. I don't think it's close. I think the Clippers are the best team in the league when healthy.
Hunter.
Yeah, Clippers are awesome. Even with Kawhi, I think he's missed 4 games now, but I don't care. They're really good. Paul George is back, like Cam said. Dominated his first 2 games. Had 37 points in 20 minutes last night. They're really good. They've got to be the best team in the league right now, despite the record.
No, absolutely. My take was best team in the league. They are amazing. They are great offensively, defensively, sideways, upside down. No way around it do you get past this Clipper team. It's going to be a tough but very fun playoff season for NBA fans. Cam, the Dallas Mavericks, 7-5. Tell me about them.
They're cool.
That's cool. That's
cool.
it.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Kristaps stinks.
Hunter.
Kristaps does stink, but you know who doesn't stink? Luka Doncic, top 5 NBA player already.
That's so sick. I love hearing that. The Doncic love and hate dynamic between Hunter and Cam just brings a smile right to my face. Yeah, my take on Dallas.
Oh, okay.
They're fun.
All right, buddy.
They're fun. They are very fun to watch. Luka is so cool the way that he manipulates himself on the court and just puts them in a position to win every time. Hunter, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I might have to eat my words on the Timberwolves. They've been much better than I was expecting. Cat has been good. Wiggins especially has been good. We'll see how it goes, but if they're much better than I expected, I'll gladly give them their props.
Cam.
Yeah, like I said, Ryan Saunders has been doing a great job so far. They're not good defensively. They seem to be giving up hundreds of points a game. But yeah, I think they've been better than expected. Karl Towns has been really good. Wiggins has definitely taken a step forward. Yeah, they've been fine.
Yeah, definitely. They're fine, and I think that's the best way to
They're
describe
fine,
them.
yes.
They're nothing spectacular. I don't like watching them. They're just fine. Memphis Grizzlies. My take: Morant for Rookie of the Year. Dude has been awesome.
Yeah,
He has been awesome. Hitting that game winner against Charlotte, contested 4 dudes around him, unreal. Morant, 18 points a game too. Almost averaging a double-double with assists as well. Defensively, he's been sick. The Murray State product. Oh, love Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Cam.
Agree. I can't agree more. Yeah, John Morant. I watched him against Utah the other day. He just had an amazing play. Just spun down in the middle of the paint. Just made plays all game. Got them the win. Rookie of the Year. Yeah, definitely.
Hunter.
Yeah, definitely the Rookie of the Year front runner right now. Morant is so exciting, so athletic. For such a small guy, he just slices and dices through defenses. He's really fun to watch, and I like the future that they have. They have some nice young pieces and a couple good guys still, like Jonas Valanciunas.
Hunter, flipping it back to you for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
The Thunder are. I'm just waiting on when they're going to trade Chris Paul. Who knows where he's going to go? Maybe he'll end up in Miami. I kind of hope not, but they're good, but they're not good at the same time. SGA's been pretty solid.
Yeah, he's been
and they're
cool.
They're kind of confusing, but they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, Cam, please.
Yeah, I agree. They're kind of in a rebuilding mode right now, trying to trade Chris Paul, might trade Steven Adams, like we said earlier. Just got to make moves. They're kind of in a tough place now with officially giving up on that original franchise moves when they first became the Oklahoma City Thunder, with Durant gone, Harden gone, and now Westbrook gone. They're officially turning a new chapter. So we'll see what happens.
My take: start your process, Oklahoma City. Start it up, blow up everything, keep Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and figure out the rest later. Get your picks, win that draft lottery, make it all work, and who knows what might happen. You might build another big 3 like Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden.
Just don't trade them away.
Yeah, just don't trade them away or lose them in free agency because of a cap situation. Portland, Cam, please take it away.
I think tough start for them so far. I'd say I think we see them as one of the top teams in the league. As we just signed Melo. I don't know how much that actually helps, but it's cool to see, fun to see. I think they'll still be around. I think they just gotta. Nurkic being hurt doesn't help. I think I'm not worried about them. I think they'll be fine, but definitely not the start they expected to have to start the season.
Yeah, Trailblazers, they're going to be back. They're 1-4 at home and 500 on the road right now. So they just have to take care of business at home. They'll be fine. Anthony Simons has been really good for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. My take is figure out your pieces. Figure out what you want to keep. Figure out what you want to trade. Make sure, in this tough and competitive Western Conference, that you are confident 100% in your squad. Because if you're not, that's when you lose playoff games. That's when you choke. That's when you take the step back. Whenever you just try and run it back and just be like, I guess these pieces worked last year, so they'll work this year. All right, last one before we wrap up the bad teams, the San Antonio Spurs. Hunter, tell me about them.
It's officially the end of an era. Officially the end of an era. They're 5-8. They're going to miss the playoffs. Aldridge is old. DeRozan isn't getting it done. And it's time for them to rebuild.
Cam?
Yeah, I agree. End of the era. They're in a tough situation right now. They pretty much had to trade Kawhi Leonard, and that completely derailed all the plans they had for the future. I think Popovich is probably done soon. Maybe not this year, but in the near future, I think he'll call it quits. Um, yeah, they're just rebuilding, and it's not what we expect, what we're used to seeing from the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, my sentence is do my eyes deceive me, or the Spurs actually towards the bottom of the Western Conference? It's tough for them, and I truly hope that they figure it out, because the Spurs are so cool and they're fun to watch, and their dominance is not like an arrogant dominance that we see in other sports, where like the Golden State Warriors or the New England Patriots, where they just keep winning.
Whoa.
There's a sense of arrogance
We're
with
not
the fans,
arrogant.
but this is not a football
the
podcast.
fans, yeah.
Yes,
Fans,
that's what I mean.
absolutely.
There's like an arrogance
Absolutely,
around them that like they're always so
Mhm.
good. But the Spurs fans, in my opinion, whenever they were so good, were not really, that arrogant. They were just confident, and that was what was really cool. Rounding out the bottom of this Western Conference, Sacramento, New Orleans, and Golden State, bad.
Bad,
Tough
Blow
fight
it
for the
up,
boys. Yeah,
figure
it's
it
hard.
out, trade D'Lo. Wait for Zion, and Kings stop being the Kings. Like, figure it out, man.
Shouldn't have fired David Yeager.
Shouldn't have fired Dave Yeager. Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, is there any other final takes that you guys have for the podcast so far before we sign off for another 2 weeks?
Hey man, Wizards, they're getting that 8 seed. You heard it here first.
All right. Well, yes, you did. You heard it here first, folks. Thank you for tuning into the Triple Double Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, make sure that you're sharing everywhere that you possibly can, so we can be the best Triple Double Podcast that we can be. Leave a comment down below about what you want us to talk about for next episode, and just leave us a review. Let us know how you're doing. Follow us on Instagram at Triple Double Podcast. Make sure that you never miss an upload. And with that being said, this has been the Triple Double Podcast. I'm Eddie Fitzgerald.
I'm Cam McKee.
I'm Hunter Nicely.
And have a great day, everybody.